Hello, everyone. Today we are going to be talking about my 7900, my 7900 XTX memory overclock and how I was able to stabilize it. There's a whole kind of like saga to this because this is a real issue. It was acting real weird, and I did not understand what the problem was until it was literally a light bulb moment. Like, I cannot explain to you how light bulby of a moment this was when I realized what was going on. So, for the longest time, for as long as I've had my EVC, I've been trying to get my memory stable. At 2800 megahertz, I was even happy with 2700. Couldn't get that. At base voltage, my memory can't even do 2650. I don't know of any XTX that can't do 2650. So I don't know. I know mine. Mine for whatever. It was on the very cusp. It could do 2634, or 2636, just fine. So it was like right at that cusp where it was, like it was stable relatively, but like in certain scenarios, it wouldn't be stable regardless. So it got to the point to where I just gave up for a while. I did not care. I was like, I'll just run my memory at 2600 megahertz and forget about it. Not even, you'd like revisit the subject. Of course, I go through one of my little manic episodes where I'm bored and I dive headfirst into whatever issue that I've been having for a while that I just decided to ignore. So, of course, when you do that, like recently I've been on a tirade, okay? And I feel like I just keep prevailing through just pure grit and like not even that like I'm smart enough to actually figure out how to fix the problem myself, but it's like when I tell you that this was a light bulb moment, it really was, because like I don't know why I never would have thought that this was my problem, but so it's actually an issue that it's a bug with AMD GPUs that actually fixed my issue. So, have any of you guys ever heard of the issue where you have multiple monitors, so like multiple, DisplayPort and HDMI port connected to your GPU, and the memory speed runs at full frequency, causing high power draw? Yeah, well, that is just the issue that's just the bug that ended up fixing my problem. So, my problem was that what made no sense about this scenario was that in games, 2800 megahertz with a plus. Well, I was using a plus 0.1 volt offset, but now I'm using a 0.075 because it's stable. So like you don't, why use the extra voltage? But the problem was when I would exit a game, when like a 3D task wasn't being put on the GPU, because I'm on a single monitor setup, my memory would downclock to 900 megahertz, which is fine for like the average user who doesn't care about overclocking their GPU. They're never gonna. It's not even a problem. It's only a problem if you are wanting to push your memory towards the like upper limits of what it can really do. And this also didn't make that much sense to me because I was thinking like, okay, the memory is running at 900 megahertz, but I'm still giving it more voltage. So regardless, so like, why is this 900 megahertz not stable? When, like it just, even now, I really don't know the issue. The only thing I can think of is that the GPU was trying to enter an ultra low power state, and that extra voltage was like throwing off the memory controller in some sort of weird, wacky way that I cannot explain. But whatever was happening, when it would enter that low power state and downclock the memory, my system would just like start bugging out, completely bugging out. It would gray screen, which if you have an XTX and you've like had a memory, like I've had two XTXs, a Nitro Plus and my Red Devil that I use right now, and they both did the same thing. They had this specific gray screen with like black lines. When a memory overclock was unstable and the system would crash, right? They both did it. So when it would downclock to that 900 megahertz, it would kind of go buggy. Everything would like not be smooth, everything would be choppy, and then it would just gray screen, and so it made no sense. It just did it. Even now, I don't know why that happened, because it was getting more voltage and it was at a lower frequency. So why would it be unstable? Maybe one of you guys watching this can explain that to me, but that's what was happening. So the light bulb moment was when I finally realized. I was like, wait a second. Is my memory actually downclocking? Because at this point, I didn't even realize that my memory was downclocking. Tonight, I just never really paid attention to it. Like, once I exit a game, I'm not like going into MSI Afterburner like, oh, what's my memory frequency? As long as it's, like my system's working perfectly fine. I'm not like, just because I enjoy overclocking doesn't mean I'm like staring at MSI Afterburner, like analyzing 24/7. So yeah, I opened when the little light bulb went off. I opened MSI Afterburner, saw that my memory was at 900 megahertz, and I was like, I'll be damned. This has got to be the reason why it's not stable. For some reason, I just knew that was the reason. So I started looking on forums. I'm like, okay, how do I lock my memory to, just full frequency and not downclock? How can I do that? And at this point, I forgot that the multi-monitor issue was an issue. So I'm looking at, I downloaded this tool. Go to downloads called Radeon Mod. And if I open that up real quick, you see you have enable ULPS and deep sleep disable. I figured deep sleep disable doesn't really do all that much, and I'm not gonna lie to you, enable ULPS seemed to do absolutely nothing. So because memory was still downclocking. So yeah, this downloading this kind of like, it's kind of a cool program. Just as a little off topic, it's pretty cool because you can actually switch a lot of like driver toggles that you can't, like, aren't forward facing in the AMD Adrenalin software. So, if you want to mess around with that, go ahead. But regardless, didn't work for me. And I was playing a game of Battlefield Red Sec, and I was thinking, I already had like an extra HDMI cable coming from my monitor, and I was thinking, okay, what if I just plug this into my GPU? So I plug it in, and we end the gaming session. I exit out. Lo and behold, my memory frequency has stayed at 2800 megahertz and has not deviated. And guess what now? My system is perfectly stable at these higher frequencies because it's not downclocking. Whatever. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me as to why the downclocking would cause that issue, but it did. And so if you have an XTX and you are having and you have an EVC or whatever, and you're having weird behavior when trying to overclock your memory, this is probably the answer. Like, I can tell you right now, this is more than likely your problem. Something happens when the memory downclocks that causes the system to just go all cattywampus. So anyways, let's get into pretty much these are my speeds right here. I think at the default 2500, you're sitting around like 820 gigabytes per second. So gained a cool 100 gigabytes per second. I mean, not complaining whatsoever. That's pretty good. Now, yeah, I tested for longer than this, but I accidentally exited out of Memtest Vulkan. So I just ran a fast little test just to get the numbers up here. But, so yeah, this is at 2799. I did test 27 at 0.1 volts. 2820 was stable. And I think that was like 945 gigabytes per second or 940 gig. It wasn't a huge difference. And honestly, with that, I don't know if that's 100% stable. I might try to stabilize that, but it's like the extra volt. I would rather run it 0.075 at 2800 megahertz than 0.1 at 2820. So, yeah, I'm probably just going to kind of leave it as it is for right now and see how it goes, because this is still a very new thing. I've only been working on this problem for like 3 days. So, and luckily I found like it. Whereas beforehand, if I didn't want to like have this extra HDMI cable plugged in my GPU, I would have had to set my overclock while I'm in the game, play my game, and then once the game's over, set my memory clock back to like, lower or default, in order for to not have that issue. And I'm no one wants to have to like do all those steps and this and that. It's like when you're overclocking your hardware, you just want it, once it's overclocked, you want that overclock to just work and not, like obviously you might revisit it and adjust it or like tweak with it or whatever. That's fine. But no one wants to, it's kind of a pain because every time I start my system, I have to set these values in the EVC software. That's not too big of a deal. I've gotten so used to it now. It's like I open my computer, boom, first thing, EVC software, putting the values in, forget about it. It takes like 2 seconds, and it's not, But that, like, where I would have to like downclock memory after I'm done with my gaming set, like that's just, I don't feel like doing that. I don't think I don't think any of y'all would feel like doing that. So, but with this, I mean, like my GPU core frequency still goes down to like sometimes I'll see 0 megahertz. So I don't even I mean obviously there's no way it's zero, it's something. But yeah, that is if you're trying to overclock your memory. And honestly, it's something about going into the higher power state that keeps the memory stable. Obviously obviously really the answer to that is more than likely just voltage, but that's what makes no sense to me about going into the low power state, is because I'm giving it more voltage anyways. But whatever. So if y'all want to try this, yeah. And also they do sell like little dummy plugs that you can connect to your GPU, and they're real small. For right now I literally have a whole cable just going to two cables going to my monitor, which it's fine. Like I don't like, I got all my all my cables tied up anyways. But yeah, if you are having this problem, or you like because it's not always intuitive. Like it's not always just like an easy problem, like something that now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, of course this would have worked. Like this was a whole bug I don't even know if it really is a bug, or if it's like, for whatever reason, the memory needs to be a higher clock frequency for multi-monitors, or the bandwidth helps or something. I don't know. But regardless, it worked. And so now it's running at 2800 all the time. You're getting those, juicy, sweet extra megahertz on memory, which actually does produce a pretty noticeable increase in performance. I would say that it's pretty similar to like probably raising your core clock by like 100 megahertz. You get like another few FPS. It might even be really more than that. Like I've noticed that XTX is really like having memory overclocked for whatever reason, which doesn't make any sense to me either, because supposedly the XTX is supposed to use its 96 megabyte cache die, which should cause the GPU to like address the GDDR6 memory less. So I don't know why overclocking memory causes such a big difference in performance, but it does. So yeah, I recommend y'all at least try it. See if, something like this, maybe see if your memory clock can go a little bit higher. Yeah, because let's say you had like a memory overclock of 2700 megahertz, you're stable even with like no EVC, no extra power or anything like that. You're stable at that. But then for whatever reason, when it goes in the ultra low power state, it becomes unstable, kind of like my situation. So if you really, really want that 2700 megahertz, you might have to resort to a solution like this. So especially if you don't feel, if you just want to set it and forget it, because yeah, setting all these different parameters as you're just like a million different times, that will get old quickly. So yeah, I might play around with this. 2800 megahertz for an XTX is really high. Like that's like no one at stock values is going to be able to get 2800 megahertz with stock voltage. Literally no one. Like some people might be able to get 2750, maybe. That's going to be like a good 1% sort of deal. And even then, it's like, is it going to be stable in all scenarios? More than likely, like I would like to say, probably not. 2700 megahertz is attainable by a lot of people, but 2800 out of the question unless you volt mod, pretty much. So yeah, this right now, what the way that I have my XTX configured with my memory overclock and the 3240 core clock, definitely one of the faster XTXs on the planet. So, yeah, it's just kind of like one of those cool things where you know, through, I guess, you know, just, through experiments, experimenting and just trial and error, you finally kind of get to the point to where, I'm pretty sure my XTX is faster than a 5080 at the very least. So that's, because without this memory overclock, without this, my XTX from base was already like approximately 14% faster than stock. So with this, we're probably, going up more towards probably 18 to 19% faster than stock. So, and at that point, you're getting into territory where the 5080 is faster. So, I mean, my XTX is faster. So it's just kind of cool being able to get like as much performance out of something when, especially when companies give you that sweet, power limit. Don't you love it? Anyways, hopefully you guys found this video informative. I think it's pretty cool that we're able to, and if you do mem test Vulkan, pay attention to the written speeds. Those are more important than checked, because this simulates like the memory or the GPU actually like fetching memory. So yeah, this is the more important value, even though this is higher, but we are getting up to that 960 gigabyte per second theoretical bandwidth, which is pretty cool in my opinion. So anyways, hopefully this helped you guys with your memory overclocking endeavors. Maybe I'll make a video going over core clock and, the ins and outs about that and voltage, and maybe I'll make a whole overclocking, undervolting video. We'll see. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.